What's going on, guys? Welcome to Things That Keep Me Up at Night podcast, episode 2, technically. Now, I don't have any guests today, but I'm very excited to announce a bunch of guests. Scheduling has been a nightmare, guys. It's not because people have been difficult to work with. It's because when I do the Time Teller channel, it's predominantly just me, right? It's me and some watches, and, I have my editor, and he helps me out, and we have a really good system, and then, I get some help for the shop. I run the shop, and everything's pretty copacetic, right? Now, with this podcast, it's not just going to be me talking. I have all these ideas and a bunch of people that have stepped up that want to talk to me, and so now I'm having to kind of shift my business to do more outreach and this and that, and it's not just watchmakers and people that want ad reads reaching out to me. It's people that want to be on the show and everything. And I'm flattered and I'm honored. And this is such a great problem to have, right? So much content is like falling in my lap. So what I will say is, as a little teaser, I'm about to talk to someone that's a moon landing denier, and he's going to debate a moon landing believer. I have someone that claims to have had 3 close encounters with extraterrestrials. I have a 9/11 conspiracy theorist coming in. That's going to be a very deep episode, very touchy, I'm sure. And this is all things that truly do keep me up at night, not necessarily because I believe these conspiracy theories, but because conspiracy theories are so freaking interesting to us. And by us, I mean you as well. I mean, you clicked on this episode, you read the title of this episode. And while we may not be going over specific conspiracy theories today, we will be mentioning some. I'm going to leave it up to the quote-unquote experts that I interview to go over these specifically. Now, I will say my white whale thus far is Mothman. If anyone out there is like a pseudo expert on Mothman, please email info@thetimetellershop.com so we can get you scheduled up and you can be on the show. Now, we're going to do some definitions here, not because I think you're stupid. It's because this is going to help me and help us moving forward. So, what is a conspiracy? Well, the definition of a conspiracy is a secret plan by a group to do something unlawful or harmful. That's the primary definition. The secondary is the action of plotting or conspiring. Now, this is really interesting. The primary definition says to do something unlawful or harmful. And whenever you hear the word conspiracy, it's never positive, right? It's always negative. There's always a negative connotation. Keep that in mind as we move forward. The definition of theory is a supposition or a system of ideas intended to explain something, especially one based on general principles independent of the thing to be explained. Now, when we put those words together, you get conspiracy theory. A belief that some covert but influential organization is responsible for a circumstance or event. Now, why do I personally find conspiracy theories so dang interesting? Probably because of that negative facet, right? No one cares. Like conspiracy theories are never positive. If someone was like, there's a group of covert but influential people that are pulling strings, and they're actually putting $1 million in everyone's bank account, and they've destroyed cancer, and there's going to be no more death, and everyone can eat peanut butter, even people with peanut butter allergies. They're not going to get sick or die. Everything's going to be happy, and we can all watch anime without our girlfriends judging us. That if you told someone that, they'd be like, yeah, I don't care. But if you say, hey, there's a group of people pulling strings behind the scenes, and they want us as sheep. They're using mind control by subliminally giving us information through the media and through the food. They're poisoning us. They want us to be sheep. They want us to fall in line. They want to control us so they can have all the power. Well, that's quite negative, and people would be like, I'm listening. I don't know if I believe you. You sound kind of crazy, but I'm listening. I'm listening. See, it's that negative connotation to these theories that make them so dang interesting to everyone, myself included. But the interesting thing is that when you talk to a conspiracy theorist, first of all, everyone that's emailed me, because I put out a little casting call on my community page on YouTube, and I said, any conspiracy theorists, please email me. Each one, it was insane. Without fail, each one was like, hey, I don't appreciate being called a conspiracy theorist, but a lot of the things that I believe would get me labeled as one. So even the people that believe in these understand that there's like a very like negative connotation to even believing in some of these things. And I'm not the most logical person. You guys, I'm a watch collector, right? You guys know that. It's probably like the least logical thing in the world. I get love and enjoyment from these inanimate objects that I throw money at, and then I wonder why I'm broke. And then I get more money, and then I buy another watch. So it's like hobbies, interests, love, that's not logical. So I'm not the most logical person in the world. But when I do come across something that I don't quite understand, I try to utilize Occam's razor, right? The belief that the thing with the least steps is probably the correct thing, right? So something that takes the least time to explain, well, that's probably your answer. That's probably what happened. But some of these conspiracy theories go so deep, and they become so convoluted, and they become just like roots in the ground. You see how they all work together, and you see how deep it goes, and you're like, well, how do I use Occam's razor against this? Because okay, if someone says we went to the moon, and then someone says no, we didn't, it's like, okay, Occam's razor. They threw a lot of money at this new space program because we were in the throes of the Cold War, and there was a space race, and we wanted to show that we had technological and air and lunar superiority. So there was literally a race to the moon, and that was the government's focus at the time. So all of our resources were thrown into that, and so yeah, we made it work, and we went to the moon. But then you talk to someone who's a moon landing denier, and again, I'm not the most well versed in this, but they bring up how, I think some of the astronauts were asked to swear on a Bible that they went to the moon, and they wouldn't. I think that people have denied the footage. I think Stanley Kubrick was brought up during that, right? And that he directed the whole thing or something. And then, but you rebut that by bringing up, well, they've gotten moon dust, moon rocks. They've tested it, and the compounds found in the moon sediment is different than that is found here on Earth. They would probably rebut that with, well, they're lying about the information because we can't test it ourselves, so they're lying. Which brings me to this kind of deeper thing. Once there's a little nugget of distrust in the institution, I get how you just, you lose trust with the rest of it. And what makes it kind of worse is that there are things that are kind of labeled as conspiracy theories, and if you mention them to people, they would tell you, you're crazy, that's crazy, this would never happen, no one would allow this to happen, and they end up being true. Which makes you wonder about all the rest of these kooky tinfoil hat conspiracy theories. I have a list of them here from Reader's Digest, actually. So this is going to be kind of crass at points, guys. I'm sorry. I didn't name these conspiracy theories, so I apologize. This one specifically is kind of bad. The Dead Baby Project. So the conspiracy is that the government was stealing dead bodies to do radioactive testing. If you mention that, some people might be like, oh yeah, I guess the government could do that. But most people would be like, no, that's disgusting. The government would never do that to us. The government's here to protect us. They like us. And the truth is, I guess the government was stealing parts of dead bodies because they needed young tissue. They recruited a worldwide network of agents to find recently deceased babies and children. Then they took samples of limbs, and they collected this without notification or permission. over 1,500 times. There's another conspiracy, the bad booze conspiracy, that during Prohibition era, the government poisoned alcohol to keep people from drinking. Now, what's interesting is almost every conspiracy pertains to the government, right? And that's another really interesting facet to all of this. The government makes the laws. They make the decision. They enforce things. So already, you're born, you're human, you already have that kind of resistance to authority. And then you hear of these things and it kind of, it can fester and it can grow and it can bolster your distrust and resistance to the authority, the quote, ruling class. And then you read this, like this list that I'm going over with you, and you realize, hold on, like people don't trust the government. And then you read these things that end up being true, and you're like, I kind of don't trust them either. But anyway, I digress. The bad booze conspiracy. The government poisoned alcohol to keep people from drinking. The truth, according to Reader's Digest, is that between 1926 and 1933, the federal government pushed manufacturers to use stronger poisons to discourage bootleggers from turning the alcohol into moonshine. That didn't stop the bootleggers or their customers, and by the end of Prohibition, more than 10,000 Americans had been killed by tainted booze. That's insane. Also pertains to the government. This next one, the first lady who ran the country. This pertains to President Woodrow Wilson and the first lady at the time. I forgot her name. But apparently, the conspiracy is that when he suffered a stroke during his presidency, he was incapacitated, and his wife was actually the one being the president. And the truth is, he did suffer a stroke, and Edith Wilson, that's her name, allegedly was making most of the executive decisions because the rest of the government wanted to keep his kind of I almost said decrepit, but deteriorating state under wraps. They wanted it to be hush hush. And apparently for well over a year, most historians agree that it was Mrs. Wilson that was effectively president. That one's interesting. It's not super interesting, though. This one is a doozy, and we're going to probably have multiple episodes just dedicated to this. Government mind control. The conspiracy is that the CIA was testing LSD and other hallucinogenic drugs on Americans in a top secret experiment on behavioral medication. And yeah, that obviously happened. If you don't know MK Ultra, Google MK Ultra. We are going to do a series on Project MK Ultra. But according to Reader's Digest, the program was known as Project MK Ultra. The CIA started by using volunteers. The novelist Ken Kesey was one of the notable subjects. But the program's head soon began dosing people without their knowledge. MK Ultra left many victims permanently mentally disabled. And it goes so much deeper than that, guys. The things they did to children, the things they did to people unknowingly, the tests that they did, it was torture. It was honestly torture. And if you told people about MK Ultra and they didn't know, I would say 9 times out of 10, speak to someone on the street, they'd be like, get away from me. You are psychotic. Get the F away from me. But this is like confirmed stuff. It's insane. And again, this pertains to the government. The next one, also pertaining to the government. The Dalai Lama is a CIA agent. So that's the conspiracy. The truth is that in the 1960s, according to declassified intelligence documents, he earned over $180,000 in connection with the CIA's funding of the Tibetan resistance. And I guess they were pushing $1.7 million a year for a time. And the Dalai Lama got got a chunk of that. Maybe that's why he wears Patek Philippe's and stuff. He has a really cool watch collection, the Dalai Lama. Next one, John Lennon was under government surveillance. That's the conspiracy. The FBI was spying on John Lennon. And apparently that's true as well. So because of his anti-war songs like Give Peace a Chance, in 1971, the FBI put Lennon under surveillance. And the Immigration and Naturalization Service tried to deport him a year later. Maybe he would have been better off if he was deported because he got killed here in U.S. soil. So rest in peace. Sorry about that. The next, okay, so this one's a big doozy, and this one's like going on right now. People are I don't even know if we can even argue this at this point. The government is spying on you. So people are going to clip these titles as me like making definitive statements, but hear me out. The conspiracy is that because of technology advancements, the government is using vast resources to track citizens. And the truth is, in 2016, the government agencies sent 49,868 requests for user data to Facebook, 27,850 to Google, 9,076 to Apple. Those seem kind of like rookie numbers. And I guess the EFF, Electronic Frontier Foundation, a major nonprofit organization that defends civil liberties, has advised on this. And then it says, you've probably also heard that your computer camera could be used to spy on you. I feel like if anybody's worried about all of this, me talking about this is going to make you a million times more worried. Next conspiracy: for decades, tobacco companies buried evidence that smoking is deadly. I feel like this isn't even a conspiracy theory. Like, this is obvious. Yeah, of course they would. They wanted to make money. I think the crazy thing is when you learned that at the beginning of the 1950s, they were already doing research that like proved that smoking caused lung cancer, or at least that there was a connection. But it wasn't until 1990s, late 1990s, in fact, that Philip Morris, which, if you don't know, they're like the largest cigarette manufacturer. It wasn't until the late 90s that they admitted that smoking has a connection to lung cancer. So it's crazy because I was born pre-1990s. 1989, but still, technically, come on, just give me that. Give me those few months. Let me see. Let me try to find a decent one. Okay, this one's absurd. Canada tried to develop gaydar. It's funny. So when you're Jewish, everyone jokes about Judar. Like, you can just kind of tell when other people are Jewish. And keep Judaism in mind. All right, keep Judaism in mind because we're going to talk about that in a moment. So the conspiracy is that the Canadian government was so paranoid about homosexuality that it developed a gaydar machine. The truth is, this really happened. In the 1960s, the government hired a university professor to develop a way to detect homosexuality. And they were testing this on federal employees. He came up with a machine that measured pupil dilation in response to same-sex erotic imagery. So essentially, he was just showing people porn, and if they liked it, they were like, beep, 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 super gay. I don't know if that's the most advanced piece of technology, but if you're going to call that a gaydar, okay, I guess, yeah, they made a gaydar. Really, really dumb. Hopefully they don't do tests on people addicted to anime girls, because I would beep, 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 beep. Guilty. Okay, here's a crazy one. I'm surprised that the Reader's Digest is bringing this up, but the biggest conspiracy probably is about Illuminati, right? Keep Judaism in mind. Again, we're going to talk about that. Conspiracy: a secret society that rules the world. Illuminati and the U.S. National Security Agency are in cahoots. The truth is, we're here to tell you the link does in fact exist. Of course, that link is a hyperlink, an electronic link between two internet sites. If you type in Illuminati backwards into the web browser, you will land on the NSA website. Rumor has it this elite society includes tons of famous personalities, actors, actresses, performers, perhaps politicians. Meanwhile, the royal family is in league of their own. Oh. Creepy crawlers. Do you remember creepy crawlers, guys? Yeah, Illuminati is probably like the biggest one. And the funniest thing is that because of like my live streams that I've been doing for the past few years, there were always jokes about like, oh, you're Illuminati, like, oh, reptilians. Jews are reptilians and Illuminatis. And so this brings us to the topic of Judaism. Why does each conspiracy theory, when you get down to it, include Jews? I'm not one of these people that's gonna claim, you're anti-Semitic, everyone hates Jews. No, but what I am saying is that if there were a packet for each conspiracy theory, pretty much on page 2 of that packet, they start talking about Jews. That's all I'm saying. Especially when you get into the Illuminati thing. Even when you get into like the moon landing stuff. It all comes back to Jews. Which is crazy because I never got the memo. Now, a true conspiracy theorist would question what I'm saying right now. Maybe I'm lying to you. Maybe I'm part of the propaganda that's trying to keep the wool pulled over your eyes. Maybe I am... Oh my God, should I say the D word? Should I say the D word? Is this going to get me canceled? Maybe I'm disinformation. Oh my God. Oh my God, I have to come to terms with it. I am fake news. Yeah, I mean, who knows, guys? Maybe I do go to meetings on the flat side of the moon, and we, pull the strings, World Bank. We, talk about inflation. We just need to keep pumping it up. We talk about gas prices. We talk about, just all these things to make your life worse. And it's just, we have a big synagogue on the flat side of the moon. We take off our skin suits. We're all reptilians, and we just pull strings, guys. That's just how it goes. I'm joking. Or am I? But this is a precursor to what we're going to be talking about in the future. This isn't going to only be a conspiracy theory podcast. I actually just reviewed the two knuckleheads, the hosts of Watch Cringe. So we're going to talk about watches. We're going to talk about cars. We're going to talk about current events. But I think because I'm so freaking interested about conspiracy theories, not even specific ones, just the fact that conspiracy theories exist, it is so interesting to me. And the truth is, with the list we just went over today, it makes you think. If they lied to us or kept things under wraps with these things, what else could they be lying to us about? I don't know, guys. But maybe, just maybe, in future episodes we can get to the bottom of it. But I don't know if Occam's razor is going to help me at all. And let's face it, I don't really use razors. For my video viewers, you can see my cheeks, man. You know what? I need a Manscaped. Can Manscaped sponsor me? If anybody's listening to this works for Manscaped, probably not going to use it on my face, but there's other areas that have hair on me. Hey. All right, guys, let me know. There's a way that you can comment, I'm sure, on the YouTube channel, things that keep me up at night, or you can email info@thetimetellershop.com. And let me know, what things would you like me to talk about? What's your favorite conspiracy theory? And if you're well-versed or passionate about a particular conspiracy, let me know, and I will have you on the show. Guys, thanks for hanging out with me on this episode. Please consider supporting us on YouTube. So subscribe over there. And then also, if you find it in your heart to really support the channel, because again, this podcast is not at the moment monetized, consider supporting our Patreon. There's a few different tiers there, and you really do help us because, again, this content literally does cost us money to produce, and we're not making any money from it. So if you want to help us keep us doing this, then please support us on Patreon. All right, guys, I will catch you on the next one. I'm going to finish these podcasts like I always do. Stay happy, stay healthy, and stay blessed, and just be kind to each other, and don't trust anyone.